Want to know what your dog is thinking?
Have a challenging dog behavior you need help with?
The Dish on Dogs is your source for all your canine questions.
Improve your relationship with your dog and deepen your understanding of your furry friend. Right here on the Dish on Dogs.
Welcome to the Dish on Dogs podcast. I'm your host, Jackie. Today we're missing Mike, but I'm here with Corey Packer. He's our brand director at Hounds, and we're going to talk all things marketing today. So welcome, Corey, to the Dish on Dogs.
Thanks for having me.
This podcast was actually pretty much your idea, so it's interesting that you're a guest now.
Oh, I know. It was a fun idea to do. I think you guys needed a podcast big time.
For sure. There's so many topics to talk about, between our operations and dog behavior, dog management, franchising. So now we're getting to marketing, because marketing is obviously a huge component to the success of our locations. So wanted to just dive a little bit into like what you do, what your role is, what you do for our franchisees once they come into the system, and how you work to really make them successful.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
So what's your so you're the brand director?
Yes.
Okay.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
Brand director.
That was a self-proclaimed title.
You were like, just some marketing person. It's like, let's just like fake
Let's
it.
just promote you to director right off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been working for Hounds for about 2 years now.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
So what is what are you doing every day for, franchisees once they come into the system? Take us through, new franchisee signs an agreement, and they're on their way to signing a lease on a building. Talk about our process marketing wise when they hit that point.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's important and it's crucial for us to get a hold of the franchisee as early as possible, because there's so many little things that could fall through the cracks later on if you wait too long. Right. There's other franchisees that probably, do things right before they open and stuff like that. So we like to get a hold of them very early and kind of get them accustomed to doing things that are going to only help them in the future, that some of these people may have never even thought about or used before. Most people use Facebook and Instagram for talking to their college friends and high school friends. We use it for business to get them business. But off the break, when they sign, as soon as they sign their lease, we set up their business pages and their personal pages and stuff like that, get them going on social media, get them used to things. And then after that, we start running their ads when we find a date that they're open. And then that's for a certain amount of time. And then when it comes close to opening, we have other tactics that we do to get a ton of people through the door for them. And then by that time, they've already believed in the process. They've seen thousands of engagements on their social media ads. I mean, other ways we have groups, we do all kinds of stuff. But by the time that they're about to open, they're accustomed to all of this. They're used to it. They're Facebook professionals when they were never before most times. So it's heavy on the social digital footprint, especially with nowadays, especially with COVID and everything that's happened.
Right.
We were already ahead of the curve when it comes to that, but this has only actually helped us, I think, because more eyeballs have been on our stuff because more people are home.
Right. And I think so we begin our marketing plan a good 6 months before a location opens. Yes. So location signs a lease, and then that triggers you and the rest of our marketing team to get kind of a 3-layer brand awareness ad up and running in their market. So your job is to curate an audience of people over this 6-month period that are most likely to become a Houndstown customer, right?
Yep.
So you and your marketing team are managing that for franchisees. You're setting up and running all of their social media ads. You're directing them how to set up and manage their business page and their private Facebook group. So we're kind of delivering them everything they need.
Yep, everything.
And you're also running, we do a special for that first weekend that they open, that everybody opens. You and the marketing team run this ad for them. So the goal is for the franchisee to focus on build out, right?
Yes.
And for us behind the scenes to use that time to gather hundreds of thousands of people that are going to potentially be a Houndstown customer.
And especially with locations that, there's no other Houndstown, there's no brand recognition like there can be sometimes here in Long Island. But I mean, when we go to a new market, no one has seen Houndstown ever. Right. So we're seeing hundreds of thousands of people in a small 10-mile radius or whatever radius we use, and we're driving all of those people. We're letting them know. We're sending out the brand awareness stuff like that and letting them know that Houndstown is coming. But we do it for them,
right?
For the franchisee, because it's important to not bog them down with a lot of stuff that they more than likely won't understand that early on anyways.
Right.
But like you said, when you're halfway through a build out, the last thing you want to worry about is running a Facebook ad,
right?
If you don't even know how to. So it's like we take it away from them to help them focus on other things at the same time as training them along the way. So when it is time for them to run the ad themselves, and by run the ad, I don't mean create it and all that stuff. I mean just communicating with the customer.
Right.
They will be pros at it. And we're seeing that with all of these locations that are opening up in the next couple of months. These people are like crushing it. Not just in the numbers that we're getting for them, but just the way that they're engaging with the customers. I mean, the way that they've grown their groups. They're doing everything to a T. They're following the system exactly how it's made and how we know it can succeed. And it's paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of our biggest lessons we learned when we opened our first out-of-state Houndstown 2 years ago in New Jersey was we need to get ahead of marketing as much as possible. Yeah. So the more time we have leading up to an opening, the better.
Yes.
We like a minimum of 5 to 6 months, and behind the scenes, then you guys are looking at the ads, watching the performance, changing things, tweaking things, running this ad, trying that ad, testing this ad out. And we have a whole library of, it's got to be hundreds of photos and videos and graphics. And, the great thing is we've tested them over the past couple of years, over the 13 stores we have open and operating now, some in brand new markets. And I'll just say that, since you've come on board, in the past 2 years, the stores that have opened in new markets, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Sanford, Smyrna, have opened to record-breaking new evaluations in that first weekend. They've grown faster than any of our Long Island stores, actually. I'd feel comfortable saying that, which have brand awareness and have had brand awareness for 20 years.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you, like you said, especially nowadays when everyone's so focused on social, the way that you can grow brand awareness in a brand new market, how quickly that can be done if it's done by someone like you and your team that knows what you're doing.
Yeah,
right?
It's kind of crazy when you because one of the things that I always talk to franchisees about is, they always ask me, not that they're worried, but they're kind of cautious, and they're they're new, they're a new entrepreneur, they're a new business owner, they bought a franchise for a reason, and they're always worried and skeptical of how they're going to get customers through the door. And it's sometimes hard to fathom, depending on what generation you're in. Even the younger generation, millennials aren't using Facebook to make their business. I mean, some entrepreneurs are, but they're using it to talk to their friends and TikTok and stuff like that. But when you can think about there's 4 billion users on Facebook, I can have access to 4 billion people.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
That's if your mindset changes, you can crush it. And that's what I love about the franchisees is they'll kind of freak out a little bit, how am I going to grow this business? I've spent this money, I'm going to do this, I spent this time, I'm changing my whole life for Houndstown. How am I going to make money? How am I going to get people through the door? And then as soon as we turn their ads on and they have thousands of people interested in their location, interested in Houndstown, questioning them what it's about. They can't wait to bring their dog there. Their group is growing by the hundreds. It's really cool to see the franchisees kind of just the weight just lifted off their shoulders.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of in awe because they never thought, wow, Facebook is going to be, in the very beginning for sure, my main way that I'm going to make money.
Right.
At my new franchise. And they're coming in by the droves. It's not like we're getting 1 or 2 or 3 people. I mean, like you said, we had 55 people booked for Smyrna when they opened.
Yep.
The last time 30 was the most we did for Detroit.
Right.
And it's during a pandemic. So it's
Yeah, absolutely. So that's true. We opened, Smyrna and Sanford in June in the height of the pandemic, and both of them did over 50 evaluations in the first 10 days they were open. And that's because, you started their campaigns 6 months out, and they followed even more importantly, they followed the system. They believed and trusted in you and your team.
Yeah.
And that is obviously a recipe for success.
Yeah.
It's just believing in the system, taking the data that we have from the stores that have been successful at this already, and just leaning into it and trusting the people that, you paid money to get into the system.
To believe in. Yeah. Exactly. That's the key right there, is like those 2 locations. I mean, all the locations do listen to what we say and take our guidance, and what's great is we allow them to do certain stuff. Like we have a monthly call with these locations, and that's a great time for them to be like, hey, I want to try this.
Right.
Or what do you think about this? And it's something that we love collaborating with the franchisees. And that way it's not like do everything we say. It's like, because not everything we say, like we test everything, but everything we do works, and it's worked thus far. But we're always growing. We always have room for improvement. We always if a certain thing works in a certain market, we love to know those things, right, so we can really be specific to that market. So we always love input and love working and collaborating with the franchisees. But those 2 locations, I mean, they listened to us to a T. They followed all the directions. They executed amazingly. We ran the ads for them. We did it for them. We showed them how to do it. I have no doubt the next time it's time to run the ad like that they are going to replicate the same thing. And it's because they followed the system, they listened, and they paid attention to all the little things that, when you're going through a build out and you're worried about this and that, will fall through the cracks sometimes.
Right.
They dotted all their I's, crossed all their T's, and it's paying off. They're breaking records now.
Yeah.
Because of the trickle.
And they both just had summer luau parties. Oh, yeah. And they each had 25 plus daycare dogs. Yeah. I mean, sometimes locations don't hit 25 daycare dogs until 6, 7, 8 months in traditionally. So the fact that they're 6 and 8 weeks into this and they're getting 25 dogs a day into their facilities, it is thanks to the fact that we got ahead of all of that.
Yes.
And started the volume game, which is Facebook is a volume game. We started that, way ahead of time.
Way
so
ahead.
The stores now are opening, quicker than they ever have before and growing quicker than they ever have. But that's not to say that we don't rely on the franchisee, like you said, to be very detail oriented, to follow the process that we're giving them, and to have the time to engage with customers in the way that we need them to be engaged to close the deal. And so our marketing team's role is to deliver leads, right? In a way we know works. And then you pass the torch, like you say, onto the franchisee and their staff, and it is on them to take those leads and convert them. And we train you how to convert the leads, what to say. We have conversion rates for all of the ads that we run. We'll benchmark your conversions and address if you're not converting at a high enough rate. Let's figure out together why that is.
Yeah, exactly. The cool thing about having, Mike and Jackie, you and Mike, involved in all of this is you guys have 2 locations that are your own. So not only do we do the ads and everything for the franchisees, but like you said earlier, is we're testing stuff. We're not just testing stuff and using their money and testing things in their markets, hoping that it works. Every single ad that we have ran for any new location has already been ran in your 2 locations. We know they work. We know what kind of results to expect. And we know that the results will be even better in a new market. Right. So I don't know a lot of franchisees or franchises in general that I've been accustomed to know and stuff like that actually, I know they test their stuff probably, but the fact that the owners of the franchise are spending their own money to test other ads out and stuff and the marketing plan and making sure it's working to a T and how it should, just shows a lot of commitment on the franchise side, that they believe also in the system. It's not just here, franchisees, go do this or go try this. It's you know what I mean? It's a commitment from your guys' side too, which I always appreciated, because if we didn't have that, we would be behind the 8 ball. We wouldn't know what's going to work in Smyrna or Sanford at that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so, I think as a system, we've always been, we have to put our money where our mouth is.
Exactly.
And if we are asking franchisees to invest $350,000 to build out a facility, well, we might as well do it too.
Yes.
If we're asking them to spend $3,000 a month in marketing, we should be doing it too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I think that is a differentiator beyond marketing as well. Just that we're able to, we do a lot of testing at our South Jersey store. We run a lot of marketing, a lot of our marketing tests there. And in addition to that, build out processes, build out materials, staffing, hiring. So we're able to kind of use that market to test a lot of different things. Like you said, we don't want to waste franchisees' time or money on being a test facility. So it's nice to have the two stores. One is fairly new. One has been around for 20 years. So we have a fully matured store and then a store in year 2.
Yeah.
So we're able to really relate to franchisees and their business struggles, their business challenges, their marketing investment, everything, because we're right there on the ground with them. Yeah. So I just find personally that I think that that's, to me, very important. And then I think for the system, it just gives us more to work with because it's more credibility.
It does. And it also, like in your groups, it's like it's nice when you like lead by example.
Exactly.
That's kind of where I appreciate it, because it's no one can ever say, well, Mike and Jackie don't do that, or the franchise doesn't do that.
Right.
No, they do that. They do it well. They do it perfectly, and it shows because Ronkonkoma side has been around for 20 years. South Jersey gets amazing results from the ads that we're running in a place where you wouldn't think would do that well. And then you have both your groups have the most members in it. There's a reason why all those things are that way, and it's because when you follow your own system and you lead by example, the results come. So
right. And that's a good point about the South Jersey store. So when Mike and I opened that 2 years ago, I did not consider that an ideal market. There's a much lower population than we normally like. Mm-hmm. It's right outside Atlantic City, which has been traditionally not the greatest area for a variety of reasons.
Very transient almost.
It's kind of transient. It doesn't have like a large population of people that I would consider, a pool of people that are going to use a daycare service regularly, and enough people to get 50 dogs a day. Mm-hmm. But and it has grown slower than some of the other stores, which we were fine with, because our main goal in opening the store was to say, if we can open a 4,000 square foot store here in a less than ideal market and it can succeed, then we're pretty sure our model can succeed almost anywhere.
Yes.
And that has been proven. And just yesterday, I got a text message from our staff there that they did 5 temp tests in one day. They're getting evaluations left and right, and that is because of the marketing.
Sure.
We just started testing our phase 3 marketing ads, which we'll talk about in a little bit, in the South Jersey market. And I'm pretty sure that that's one of the reasons why they've seen an uptick in evals. So there's so many facets of marketing that we have got our hands in. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the marketing plan a little bit, just in general. What does it look like? Talk about like the 3 phases we have.
Sure.
And
so the marketing plan is robust. It took us 6 months to make. It's very detailed, and we have a manual to show you how to use the marketing plan. So, and we go over it quite a bit in all of our conversations with the franchisees, but we have 3 phases right now, where phase 1 is 6 months before you open, and probably 3 months into opening. We have our brand awareness ads where we run, just certain ads that are going to put the Houndstown name and the location out to as many people as possible. And then we're curating an audience from those people. Yep. And I'm not going to talk about details because I do not want to give away.
We don't give away any trade secrets.
I don't want to give away any secrets. But anyways, we take all of that information and then we thrust it into phase 2, which, shout out to Smyrna and Sanford, are going into phase 2 tomorrow, early, probably 2 or 3 months early, because their ads did so well so early on that they're going to go into phase 2. And phase 2 takes us to more of a conversion friendly, direct conversion situation, where when people click on your ad, it doesn't take them to a third-party website. It lets them do things right in that native medium, and then they're higher quality people, because Facebook's not Google. Google, people are searching for you. They want your service. Facebook's different. Facebook we're hunting people. These are not going to be like, oh, I've been thinking about doing doggy daycare. These are people that I never thought about it that we're hitting. And then phase 3 is something we just finished. We just finished filming this, like June or August, like 5th or something like that. And we did service videos. So it's kind of like the differentiators. Uh-huh. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Hit it. Words aren't my thing. We have that, and then we have that word. And then there's service videos. So it's kind of phase 1 is letting everyone know who we are. Phase 2 is getting everyone that we let know who we are become customers. And then phase 3 is the people that have known what Houndstown is and stuff like that will see these service ads. Because if we put phase 3 ad in a phase 1 customer's face, they're going to have no clue what a boarding or what a daycare or what a grooming service is, because they've never even seen Houndstown.
Right.
So we have basically a funnel for these customers to go through, and then you're kind of, there's certain touch points that we hit when you go into each phase, and then we let you know what to expect from each phase, what kind of customer you're going to get from each phase. And then we turn on our Google stuff when you open. And then once that stuff gets rocking, it's, we have a 3 or 4 or 5 prong effect sometimes on our marketing scheme. And when they're all working together and the franchisee is on the other end closing people, forget about it.
It's like a trifecta. Yeah. I mean, we focus so heavily on social media because that's where about 70% of our customers come from. That's not to say that other things aren't equally as important. Yeah. We run Google AdWords campaigns. We have a digital partner who does that. We also do things like programmatic advertising, device ID targeting. Again, all things we've tested at our Jersey store. And some of our franchisees have also tested and ran these.
And they worked.
And they worked, yeah. And the other thing that we don't focus on a lot, but that's super important, is local community advertising. Like when our Detroit store opened, before they opened, the owners, Pete and Kristen, were out at events. They got their vehicle wrapped.
With the Detroit Lions, like pregame and got on TV. Yeah.
Right. They really hustled to get the word out there, to get the wrapped vehicle out there. They went and sponsored events. These things are incredibly important to start building those relationships in the local community. And that is what we rely on the franchisee for. We certainly provide guidance on that. And you can follow in the footsteps of people who have done that successfully. The Bergen location, they created a really robust relationship with the Bergen County Animal Shelter. That now, 2 years later, it has given them dozens of customers because it's a referral program. So these things are really important to lay the groundwork in the beginning, before you open. The more you can get to it before you open, the better. And let us focus on the digital and social initiatives and the more traditional marketing. So it all works together to drive, our goal is to drive, 40 to 50 evaluations to locations every month. And that will in turn, produce the revenue and the customer base that we're really looking for.
Yeah, no. And that touches on the collaboration part, where we rely on the franchisee to focus on their local stuff. Like Detroit, when they came to me and they were like, hey, we want to run this paper ad. I'm like, no, why would we run a paper? I don't know.
Right.
But it works in their market.
Right.
They spend a couple $100, they do it. They get 4 or 5 customers and it pays for itself. But initially you're thinking, oh, well, that might not work because it's old school where I'm not saying to go get a billboard or go get those the bus signs that are on a chair or a bus.
Yeah, Mike's always
seat.
wanted one of those.
Yeah, no, in a urinal, the things. Yeah, Mike's face on the urinal thing. You ever seen that? No? I like stadiums.
That'll sell you on Houndstown.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, they have them at sporting events. Anyway, so when you find out that stuff like that works in your market, we're always yes, keep doing those things because it's only going to add to it. You know what I mean?
Exactly right, and I think that's the collaboration point. We have to rely on the franchisees to understand what events are going on in their market that they can participate in. They've got to go out and establish the relationships with vets and the shelters, and that's really so. We want them focusing on that, and we kind of take care of almost all of the social media and digital stuff. with the expectation that they're going to do their part, right?
Yeah.
When we deliver a customer, they need to immediately start engaging with that customer.
Exactly. Yes.
So.
And we have a system for that. So
right. We try to make everything very, very systemized. There's a lot of components to it, so it can feel like a lot of work until I think people get used to it a little bit, and you can start delegating it to staff.
And once it's a routine, it becomes...
Once it's a routine,
it's just second nature. And then also with like, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but like how we're able to pivot, like the marketing plan.
Let's talk about that. That's a good point.
That was when COVID happened. We were like, everything was up in the air. We didn't know if we were going to close or whatever, and we were deemed essential, so we all stayed open. And the locations that stayed open ended up getting new customers, growing their business, never falling short. I mean, obviously, they did what we advised. They cut their staff, they doubled down, and they took care of business that way. But we had to come up with something that would engage new customers, keep the existing customers happy. Right. We had our Facebook group, and if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have like a direct line to hundreds of customers that we could say, hey, we're having a special here or there. Right. And then we came up with an entirely new marketing plan and calendar just for COVID. And I think that, you go from having 80 dogs a day around Concoma to dropping down to 20. You're like, oh shit. Yeah. And then you put a COVID offer out, and then you're back up to 30.
Yep. And that's exactly what happened.
It's crazy.
We shifted overnight from being acquisition focused to being retention focused. That was a big change for especially our matured stores. Sure. Who were used to having a waiting list, and all of a sudden then now, you need to have just the customers you already have come in. So yes, we worked hard to shift the marketing plan and then roll people into that and then roll them back out of it. Yes. As things started to really pick back up in May. And luckily now all of our stores we're seeing more dogs come into our facilities than ever before. Yep. It's crazy. Yeah. I didn't expect it. We of course were unsure how COVID would affect us long term. We certainly took a hit in March and April, part of May. But we are back at it. We're seeing more daycare dogs than ever before. Yeah. Boarding is still lower, of course, because of the travel bans. But I think the fact that we have focused our marketing on daycare, and we want franchisees growing their daycare business first, that is what saved us. And that's the core of our business. So that's what almost all of our marketing focuses on, is daycare, because that is what is going to build the boarding business on top of it.
That's the breadwinner, is the daycare.
Okay, so I know we had to wrap it up, but talk about a little bit about beyond the marketing plan, what kind of like one-on-one support, we do webinars and scorecard. And so just give a little roundup of kind of what is the day-to-day like from our support.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, we have the marketing plan, we have everything before you open, but really what's important is after you open, and once you're kind of like really in the system, are we watching? Are we holding you accountable? What are we doing for you? And we have a marketing group for all of the franchisees. So I think that is an ideal place where everyone can spitball ideas. We can highlight people. We can talk about things. And that's just one small piece of it. But I mean, we have monthly marketing calls. We have webinars that we do monthly, sometimes 2 times a month, that cover certain topics that franchisees might be struggling at, don't know anything about. And what's great about it is when we do a webinar about it, it's a video. It's not going anywhere. And
right. Everyone can have it as a resource.
Exactly. It's a resource. It's not going anywhere. We're constantly changing, how we do things. And when we change things, we always obviously let the franchisee know, like, okay, well, maybe this didn't work this time for you. We find out exactly what the reason was. Next year or the next time we do it, we'll know, like, whatever, we'll tweak it and stuff like that. We're always tweaking, and you get a lot of one-on-one with the marketing team. Like, we're always accessible. I mean, people are emailing us, messaging us. We're always there right when they need us, because a lot of the times it's urgent. They need us, like, it's an important thing with, like, I don't know how to do this because I need to, like, close this customer or whatever. So we're very, not reachable, but like what's a smart word?
Well, accessible is a good one.
Yeah, we're very we're very accessible.
I guess reachable is not as smart.
It's not no, but we're accessible. And we have to be, because it's the marketing plan is robust. It's very complex. It's not like a just do this one thing. It's like, no, you have to do multiple things And once you do them all and you do it well, it pays off in dividends. But we give a lot of support to the franchisees through webinars, through the marketing group, through one-on-one calls, through individual conversations that we have I talk to people every day.
Right.
Every single day. I talk to at least one franchisee, whether it's text, call, email, something, whatever it is. I'm talking to some of them. We go to we just went to a local location that's close to me in Cooper, just to film a video for his welcome group. You know what I mean? To welcome people into his group, just to aid the franchisee in that, because he's a local person. We just drove up there, 20 minutes away. So we're always trying to help the franchisees, not just in the marketing, but in other aspects to help them get better at the marketing, the social, whatever it is. So.
Right. I think our ultimate collective goal is to make franchisees successful
100%.
And to put money in their pockets. That's why we're doing this. That's why the franchisees join the system. Marketing is obviously a huge component to that.
Of course,
I think, obviously we're going to continue to grow our marketing team as we grow. So look forward to that and just seeing what else comes down the pike for us at Houndstown. We'll wrap it up. Cooper's giving us the wrap-up sign. So thanks for the insight, Corey Packer.
Yeah, all right.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, Dish on Dogs signing off. Check us out on Facebook on the Dish on Dogs, and you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and all your other podcast platforms, and we'll see everybody next time.
Every Monday night at 8 p.m.
That's correct, Corey.
That's when it comes out. All right, bye.